$68 pre-bid. Let's hit it, go. I only got one today. Let's go. Framing nailer, 21 degree. 2 weeks ago, I dropped $6,500 on 2 Ryobi pallets. One pallet where the tools had the boxes, the other pallet, no boxes. It was all pre-owned tools. My goal was simple. Make 2 grand on top, but pre-owned return pallets are sometimes a gamble. Sometimes you get a bunch of working tools, but sometimes you get a pallet full of garbage that isn't even worth reselling. Today, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how many tools I sold, what kind of deals people were able to get, but also what I ended up with at the end. So do I make 2.5 grand back? The final number will actually shock you. So let's get into the numbers. All right, let's get going. So before I tell you how much I ended up making off of these pallets, I first got to tell you how I sold this. Most of the items I ended up selling on auction through Whatnot. It's an app through your phone, and if you want to get some really good deals, go down in the description and jump into my Whatnot shows. I'm actually soon transferring over to eBay Live, so I'll be on eBay Live soon also, so that'll be pretty exciting. Anyway, the reason why I ended up selling these on auction is because of the speed at which these things move. If I list anything, it will all get sold. Doesn't matter what I do with it. If I put it up there, as long as it's something that somebody likes, they're going to bid on it and they're gonna want it and they're gonna get it. There's a good side to that, but there's also a bad side to that. The good side of this is that everything moves. The bad side is that you're gonna get a big fluctuation in pricing sometimes. Not everybody needs a corded grinder. Not everybody needs a corded saw. Not everybody needs a pin nailer. But if someone needs it and there's a few people that want it, sometimes it goes for a good deal. So you gotta be able to be ready with really weird pricing with all this. So this is what you guys are gonna end up seeing while I'm showing you guys some of these prices and how weird some of these prices can be. One of them, $11 pre-bid. Go. So this here is a 4 amp high performance edge battery. These used to be pretty good on auction, but for some odd reason the prices have started to go down on them pretty bad. This one ended up selling for $56, and you guys can see after the fees I'm left with 52 bucks. 2, 1, go. These 7 1/4 high performance circular saws usually do really bad on auction, but this one actually didn't do too bad. This one was actually open box, never used. No battery, no charger on this, and this came out to about $88, and you can see after the fees I'm left with around $82. Let's run it, go. This is the 18-volt clamp fan. There's a lot of these that I had in the pallet, and perfectly, because this is the season that people needed them, because it got really hot. So the prices on these were climbing. They weren't doing too bad. I sold this one for $23 and was left with 21. There it is, $32 pre-bid. This is one of those really cool workbench lights that opens and closes and has so many different settings and can be hung anywhere on the planet. This one ended up selling for 50 bucks, which was nice. I was left with $46. 50 big ones. Here we go, I only got one of these, and it's a rare item, go. PEX tubing clamp tool. This was a very nervous tool to put up on auction because it's a very specific tool, very specific, but found the right clients that specific day and sold it for $76 and was left with $71 afterwards, which was not too bad. The pre-owned ones for about 100. Not on here though, not on here. This is one of my first. Okay, 18 volt, 18 gauge, narrow crown stapler, literally lightly used. I did not want to put this up, but I ended up doing it, and this was probably where I took a pretty big hit. I was not happy with the number that I was left with, but sometimes you gotta try things. I only sold it for $51. Total earnings was only $48. Big hit. Pre-bid, this is gonna go low. Go. If you thought that crown stapler went low, this is gonna hurt even more. Generally, when I list these on eBay, I can get $89.99 out of these things, and it's a really good price, and that's also with free shipping. On here, for some odd reason, just bad crowd, only sold it for $38 and was left with $35. This took a big hit. Rest in peace. Usually when I sell these 18 gauge nailers from Rigid, I sell them on eBay and it's for about 35 bucks generally. And this is pre-owned. Sometimes open box would be $39.99. So selling them on here for a little bit more or even the same amount is always great. This one I think sold for $34. I've had another one on this auction actually sell same day for $6. Box. Go. Oh, hold on. Now this pin nailer is a new open box. Usually these things would only go for about $31 on Whatnot on this auction, which is really bad. But what's been different specifically about this auction is maybe because these are brand new boxes and they've been opened and tested, being that they're brand new, maybe that's kind of lifted the price on them. I had a decent crowd that day, but this one I believe went for $81 and total earnings was $76. Good job. Let's run it. Go. All right, so this is the rigid 1/2-inch high torque impact wrench that retails for $250. Usually I sell these on eBay and I believe I get around like 150 bucks out of them, so not too bad. There's not much of a rigid crowd, but this rigid impact, it didn't do too bad. I sold it for $93. $68 pre-bid. Let's hit it. Go. Now the long-awaited framing gun. I had two of them in a pallet, if you guys remember. And I sold the first one for $123. This one ended up selling for 145 bucks, which left me with $137. So as you guys saw there, the prices are constantly changing because the crowd is never the same. Sometimes they want a framing gun, sometimes they don't want it. It just really depends. If somebody wants a big deal and they get it on a good day, they're getting a good deal. On the video that you guys saw there, Whatnot was actually having a pretty good deal, specifically on commissions where they were only taking 2% versus 8%, which is why I was able to keep a lot of my earnings. In 2 weeks, I had 4 shows and sold majority of the tools. Some of them I actually have not sold yet, and I haven't even listed them yet, which is really unfortunate because that's money that's just left on the table. Most of it is just corded tools that I haven't had a second to list. But since I've sold majority of the tools and actually listed some of the tools on eBay, I can give you guys pricing and what I'm left with at the end of the day. And like you guys saw in my other YouTube video, most of the tools were actually properly working, which was really good. I did not take that big of a loss on tools that didn't work. I actually probably threw away close to 7 or 8 fans, the big fans that didn't work. The small clamp fans, those are really easy to sell on eBay. I was actually able to wrap up some of the brad nailers and throw them up on eBay and sell those fairly quickly, but most of the tools I think I ended up throwing away probably close to 30 tools that didn't work. The other ones that didn't work, I was able to grab some of the money from it by listing them on eBay, and some of them are still sitting there, which is completely fine because my shelf space moves pretty quickly, so I'm not wasting space there. All right, so now let's get to the part that everybody wants to know. So I've split this up into 2 separate spreadsheets, as you can call it. One of them is going to be for the pre-owned pallet, and then the other one's going to be for the one that's got all the boxes and all the very neat stuff. So pre-owned is going to be listed as D21, and the new-ish stuff is going to be listed as D20. But we're going to go over the pre-owned stuff first. So remember, I told you guys we had 4 shows. You got one here, one here, one here, and then also one here. They all got separate dates, because these are, again, shows with separate dates. I can't necessarily sit here and list every single one of the items that was sold that day. I did show you guys prior, so you guys were able to see there. But in terms of what's happening here, so on the 10th, I had a Whatnot show, and that number right there, number 13, is the amount of items I sold from that pallet that day. So I sold 13 items that specific day. Posted price. Usually this is where if I have something sitting on eBay, for instance, this is a drill. It sold posted price. The price that I listed it at was $26, and after fees and shipping, I'm left with $15. So that just kind of gives you an idea. With Whatnot, there's just too much work to do all that, so we just kind of go straight towards the number. So on the 10th, specifically, we had that one show, or the first show, we sold 13 items, and with those 13 items, It's about $293 that we made. Second show, we sold 71 pre-owned items, and on that day we made $1,691 only on the pre-owned stuff. Third day, you guys get the idea. 39 tools or 39 items sold $837.74. This right here, these randoms that don't say whatnot, those are items that sold on eBay. So these are 3 items that sold on eBay that day. You got the price that we had it listed for, and then what we were left with. So price we had it listed for totaled out to be $96.99, and I was able to keep $56.80 from there. Anyway, fourth, you can see there the fourth show that I had 51 items we sold, $794 that we made that day. Now this specific pallet cost me $2,008. That's what it cost me to buy. After, I mean, we've still got a couple pre-owned items that we haven't listed or sold, but after about 2 weeks, we have and made $3,868. So $3,868.94. So if we're gonna take these two numbers and subtract, we are then left with $960.64. That right there is the profit from the pre-owned pallet. So we did make our money back specifically on the pre-owned pallet, but we also made some money on top. There are actually, I believe, probably close to 25 tools that are pre-owned that I still have not listed. So if we're just gonna do this really quickly, 25 tools times, since these are all corded tools mainly, average I think I get out of it is about $15 each. So let's just say another $375, and that leaves us with, we can say that we make around $1,335 from this pallet. So that right there is going to be the profit that I make off of $2,008. Now moving on to the other pallet, as you can see here, D20, and the price that I paid right there, $3,623. So same exact thing, but these are all the new boxes, the boxes that had, or the tools that had all the boxes. You can see there, first show we sold 91 of those items. That was a really big day. So 91 items that day, and made a total of $2,587. Sold an item on eBay, and that's one of the drills. Second show, 58 items we sold on that day. It made $1,100. That right there alone brings us to $3,700 just on these technically 2 days. Now we're gonna keep going on because we don't have too many tools left. We sell a couple tools on eBay there, ended up making $199, and then we had 2 more shows left. One of the shows we had 68 items that we sold that day with a profit of $1,007. That's gonna be the last day. So if we combine all of that together, $4,960, that is what we made. Let's add a minus here because this is the price we paid for the pallets, which means we made a total of $1,337 on that pallet there. As you can see, not the craziest amount. So if we combine the cost of both of the pallets, $5,721, and then we add the amount that we actually made, $8,828. We subtract the cost, we then made $3,107. These 2 pallets brought us $3,107, and that, my friends, is the number I get from these 2 pallets. So this is the number we get. Am I rich? No. Was it worth roughly 2 weeks of cleaning, testing, listing, selling on whatnot, and shipping? It comes out to $1,500 in a week. It wasn't a home run, but it was definitely better than what I've been getting the last couple weeks. I learned a lot about whatnot buyers, acquired a lot new buyers specifically. A lot of people were actually really excited they found my show. They got really good deals, and we actually kept a lot of tools out of the landfill. Now, was that what you guys were expecting for me to get out of these 2 pallets? Let me know in the comments below if you were expecting for me to get higher or lower, and I'll see you guys in the next video.